I've made a couple videos talking about the Buddhist Bible, or I should say a Buddhist Bible, edited by Dwight Goddard. And, he has selected various scriptures and sutras and treatises to include to give a broad overview of Buddhism in its various forms. And there are several Mahayana selections. Now, he hasn't, as he indicated, hasn't included the Lotus Sutra or the Saka, because those are, in effect, books in and of themselves and extremely long. He has included, though, portions of the Surangama, even though that is a quite long sutra, one that we hope to be able to recite sometime, perhaps over the course of the next year. But in any case, as you'll note on my channel, I've been reciting chunks, as it were, of the Surangama mantra, the great mantra that's embedded within the Surangama Sutra. And that mantra, or dharani, is one that's made up of a number of lines, hundreds of lines of words that I don't know that translating them is necessarily the point. So what is the point? And more to the purpose of this video is to indicate what Dwight Goddard's reason was for not including the mantra. Charles Luck himself, in the translation that we will probably be reciting, has not himself included the mantra. In fact, if we upload that with Chinese and English titles through the efforts of my friend Sean in Hong Kong, we'll probably pull that mantra from some other source, such as a Tibetan source, or maybe even the Buddhist Text Translation Society, that portion of their particular translation. But anyhow, I thought it might be of interest as to what Goddard says in his appendix as to why he didn't include the mantra in the section of the Surangama which he translated in this book called A Buddhist Bible. And you'll notice at this point that what I'm putting in front of you is the, I believe it's the 1994 reprint. And this 1994 version actually is the same as the 1966 publication, but with a new foreword by Robert Aitken in this 1994 reprint. In any case, here's what Goddard says about the Surangama. He says, the name of this sutra is usually translated the Buddha's Great Crown Sutra, being an elucidation of the secret of the Lord Buddha's supreme attainment and the practice of all the bodhisattvas. He says it was written originally in Sanskrit by an unknown writer during the 1st century A.D. He says it was translated from the Sanskrit into Chinese by the great Indian master Paramartha about 717 A.D. The English translation was made by Bhikshu Y. Tao, and that's the translation that he includes in this book, and by Dwight Goddard himself during the years 1935 to 1937. And so this was not apparently in the original 1932 publication of this book called A Buddhist Bible. They expanded it in the 1938 edition, so apparently this was one that was included in that expanded version. The part presented here, namely in this particular publication, this reprint, is only about 1/3 of the original text, the balance being omitted for various reasons. For instance, Chapter 3 is omitted because it is obviously an, quote, extension by some lesser scribe. Chapters 5 and 6 are omitted because, while evidently being by the same author, the theme and treatment are quite different and independent. Now, I don't know enough at this point about the Surangama to really comment on, what current scholars would say or what their comments would be on his particular assertions in that regard, as far as chapters 3, 5, and 6 are concerned. But he goes on to say that the most important of these omissions, however, is that of the great dharani itself. At the time at which the sutra was written, and for many years afterward, it was probably its most important feature, and it is still chanted with great emotion in all Tibetan, Chinese, and Japanese monasteries. In omitting it from this English version, the reader is entitled to a few words of explanation.